How's it going, guys? Slippery Jim here, bringing you some more Modern Warfare 3 survival mode. And what we're looking at here is Bukhara. So we're revisiting this map. You may remember I posted a game from this map already online. It was my very first game on Bukhara, and I think I died about wave 11 or something like that. So this particular game, you're going to see me get much higher than that, and you'll be able to see some strategies, tactics that I use to get to the higher waves in this particular map that are very effective. Now, one of the key things to keep in mind with survival mode is to know which waves are going to be the tough waves. In other words, you're going to have the juggernauts or the attack helicopters coming at you. So what I'm going to do here is post up the order that you're going to get the juggernaut and the chopper waves in the insane difficulty maps, and you can see this here. Okay, so the first wave where you get a juggernaut and chopper is wave 6, just one of each, but after that you get more of them, and obviously gets more difficult. So it's a good idea to remember this order, or jot it down on a piece of paper if you find it useful, and set yourself up for these waves. So what I tend to do is leave my building at the bottom, and you'll see I'm putting the turret inside the building so it doesn't get destroyed by the helicopters, and try and save that for later, so don't have to keep buying it back. And I'm going to head up to this top building where there's also only one entrance as well. You'll remember from my first video on Bukhara. Now, at the start of these challenging waves, you're going to get the C4 dogs rushing you, about 4 or 5 of them early on in the waves. So what I do is plant a whole lot of claymores around the area to try and take those out and give me a bit of breathing space, because usually I'll use my Predator missile or my airstrike at the start of this wave to take out the first juggernaut, which gets airdropped in right next to this building. But for some reason I don't use my Predator here. What I've done is, for some bizarre reason, dropped a C4 down there. I don't know why. And I end up getting a lot of the enemy coming into this building. So I try and jump down here. Now this is pretty rare, but I do get downed here to come around this corner, and this is a tricky little corner. You really have to run pretty fast around there and avoid the attack helicopter and all that stuff. But I do manage somehow to crawl into cover here, and the self-revive saves my ass. And then we get C4 dog we have to deal with as well. So that was a pretty close shave in the game, that's for sure. Now this is a big loop of the map that I'm going to run at this point, and this is the strategy that I use. Basically start in that building at the top for these waves, and then run a big loop of the map. And I'm just going to buy back the self-revive here to be on the safe side. That way you'll get most of the enemy in a clump coming behind you, similar to a zombie train if you like. Now, one thing to watch out for in the later waves is you will get 3 enemy soldiers spawning in, and they will be spawning in front of you, and they can cut you off. So just watch your mini-map at all times. Rule number 1 of survival mode. Okay, so I try and use my Predator missile here. I think I take out maybe one guy with that missile. It's a bit of a waste, but never mind. And you can see here we're getting the enemy coming up through this the tunnel at the other side of the map as well, and then we're back and we've completed the big circle, and I'll buy another Predator missile. And you can basically rinse and repeat this loop until you've taken out all the enemy. And it's a fairly cautious strategy to use, but in solo you haven't got a buddy to revive you, so you do have to be a little bit cautious. I think I do take out at least one jug there with my Predator missile. And we're just continuing on the loop here as well. And you've just got to hug the walls and watch your mini-map so you know where the helicopters are and where they're going to be firing from, so you know where to take cover. But after you've run this loop a few times, it'll just be automatic. Now you want to watch out. There you can see an enemy claymore, so I just run around the other side of that truck. That probably would have taken me down or done a fair bit of damage if I triggered that. And you can use your C4 and all that stuff if you've got it left over, take out some of the enemy. 5C4 will kill a Juggernaut if he's standing right over it. So will a direct hit from a Predator missile or a direct hit from an airstrike. They all cost $2,500 to buy, so just use whatever you're most comfortable with. Using a flashbang and then your weapon to take down the juggernauts in these high rounds is a pretty risky technique, and you're not going to see me doing that unless I have one jug left. So it's a good idea to thin out the regular troopers if you can. And as far as weaponry goes, what I'm using here is obviously the FAD or the FAD, and that's an assault rifle that these high round super soldiers carry. And the reason I'm using that is because I'll be able to pick up ammo basically for the rest of the game for that thing. Even though they don't drop a whole lot of ammo all the time, it will save you having to go back and buy ammo constantly. And it's upgraded, so I've got the grenade launcher attachment, the noob tube, which has 2 rounds in it. Not super effective. I find the noob tube in this thing is good for hitting the suicide bombers from a distance, and then they detonate and take out the other soldiers for you. But it's basically like throwing a grenade. And obviously the red dot sight. The other weapon I've got is the P90 that you're looking at here. And this is submachine gun obviously, so it gives you pretty good mobility, and that's one of the reasons that I'm using it. But it also has really high damage and is particularly good for taking out jugs. If you're firing at their head from point blank range, you can take down a juggernaut almost with one clip with this thing, believe it or not. Okay, so we've just got the one chopper left at this point. And that's good. I'm going to leave that sort of like leaving a crawler in Zombies so that I can restock and set up for the next wave. So wave 29 is just going to be one of the regular easy waves, but I want to replenish ammo and do all that stuff so that I'm set up well heading into the next part of the game. So I think I had one of my turrets taken out in wave 27 by the enemy troops, so I'm going to buy another one, but I have to use this Predator missile first and get that out of my inventory, so I might as well use it to take out the helicopter here.
Friendly Predator missile inbound.
And then we'll buy back the other grenade turret. Now as far as turrets go, I usually find it's most effective to have 2 grenade turrets. Basically, if you set them up next to each other, usually they're going to last longer that way because they'll be, you know, protecting each other or covering each other, if you like. And I set them up here on this balcony in this little building, and that seems to be a pretty effective spot where they're also not going to get taken down as quickly by the enemy fire. I usually stick down a claymore or 2 here at the bottom of the stairs, and that gives me time to throw my frag grenades. Now from this balcony at the top here, what I like to do is when the enemies start coming from that area where I'm facing now, I'll start throwing my grenades. And usually you'll get at least 1 or 2 of the suicide bombers who will then explode and hopefully take out a bunch of other enemies. And you can get some crazy kill streaks going just by throwing those 3 or 4 grenades early on. So grenades are super cheap as well, so they're really good to buy and use throughout the game. So I'm going to let my turrets do most of the work. Occasionally if they seem to be taking heavy fire and they're in danger of getting taken out, what I'll do is try and run across to that balcony where I've set them up and take out some of the enemy from there. You just have to be careful if you do that you don't get the dudes coming up the stairs and causing problems. But I'm just going to wait patiently and get them as they come up the stairs. And then we move on to the end of wave 29, moving into wave 30. Now I'm just going to get some ammo here for my weapons. You don't have a lot of time to go in between the different armories in this spot that I'm camping in, unfortunately. But I'm going to head across and get a Predator as well. That's kind of a good thing because I'm going to trigger those chemical warfare booby traps, and then I'm going to be there for the next wave, which is going to be a Jug and Chopper wave in wave 31. Okay, so basically the same again. This is just one of the easy ways. We're just getting the regular troops coming at you. And you usually get one or two of these chemical warfare dudes, or sometimes a suicide bombers or specialists rushing you early on. Now, just use your crosshairs if you can't see through the chemical haze. And when that goes red, you'll know the enemy's coming up through it towards you. Little tip there for the noobs. You might be playing this, but that's a pretty good tactic if you can't see what's coming at you. So you do have to be a little bit patient, but by waiting up top of these stairs and letting the sentry guns do most of the work for you, you're going to get far more of those kill streak and rampage rewards. And as you can see, I'm not hurting for cash at this point in the game. I've got nearly 60,000, or I have got 60,000 points, or $60,000 at this point in the game. So I can buy basically whatever I want at this point. Alright, so this is the end of wave 30. What I'm going to do here is move one of the turrets inside the building. And I'm starting to run out of time here, so I'll leave the other turret out and try and head up this hill. And I've kind of left it a little bit too late, so I don't have time to plant any of my claymores to take out the dogs. And causes me a few problems here, but it's not too bad. And then I'm going to do my usual thing and take out the first few enemy that come into this building. So you just want to watch out for these C4 dogs. You don't want to let them up in the top of this building or you will be striped. And at this point what I'm going to be doing is jumping down and running for that tunnel. As you can see, we didn't have too many problems go around that corner. Most of the time it's not too bad at all if you time it right. It's best to go early rather than late, put it that way. Okay, so I try and use the Predator here. For some reason, I think there's a grenade. So, I don't know where that grenade came from, but it took me out. So self-revive had to do its thing and bring me back here. And then I just got super unlucky and got some of the enemy infantry flanking me there as well. But so far so good. We get around this corner and around the back of this building here. And this part is usually a piece of cake. Getting through this window is usually no problem at all. But I am a little bit damaged here and I do get taken down by a bullet through that window. Which is, considering the things I survived in that game towards the end, that was pretty lame way to die. But there you go, these things happen. Anyway, I got a pretty decent score at the end, 31,613. That was enough to rank me 54th in the world. Much better even than some of these guys like the Relaxing End. Legendary Zombie Slayer himself was about 269 at the time. So fairly happy, but I know I could certainly get further using this strategy, and I'll give it a try another time. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment or a question if you have one. But for now, it is Slippery Jim out.